Now, I'm delighted to say Matt Holland is with us. Matt, good morning to you. How are you getting on?
Well, thanks yourselves.
Yeah, pretty good. There is a lot of enthusiasm around. There's a lot of hope. There's a lot of credit going around. What was your take? What was your immediate aftermath feeling about the 2-2 draw at the weekend?
Well, I thought it was a good performance. I thought obviously the first half an hour was difficult. Didn't get much of the ball. It was played at a slower tempo, and Belgium totally dominated really for that first half an hour. But after that, I thought we did much better. We lifted the intensity. I thought we pressed better. I thought that started from the back. John Egan and Seamus Coleman both trying to follow their forwards into midfield and win the ball higher up the pitch. So I think it finished much better than it started. And I think there was a lot to enjoy about the game at the weekend.
Just on that, Matt, you're on about Coleman and Egan pressing high up the pitch, and that was extremely noticeable for Coleman for the chance that Robinson nearly scored. Is that a product of playing 5 at the back or 3 at the back, that you can basically say to one of your centre backs, don't worry about going high up the pitch because we will have cover in the event of that?
Yeah, I think that's true, and I also think the position of Josh Cullen helps in that as well because he's so disciplined in the job that he does in front of that back three as well. So I think it gives the likes of Coleman and Egan that security and licence that if they do go forward and get caught higher up the pitch, they've got someone in Josh Cullen who's quite happy to fill in one of those positions as well. So I think it's a mix of the fact that it's a back three, but also the discipline of Josh Cullen just in front of them.
And as a midfielder, what do you make of Cullen's role for Ireland in terms of how he's sort of exploded from left field onto the scene, and how important is he to them?
I think he is incredibly important. I think he's an absolute manager's dream because you know what you're going to get from him. You know the effort, the commitment, the desire that you're going to get from him. But the discipline that he offers you as well, because, if I was playing in that position, I'd probably at times get a little bit frustrated, feel as though I could, perhaps go a little bit higher up at times, maybe vacate my position. But Josh is very happy just to stay in that area and try and patrol in front of that back three. Keeps it quite simple, keeps the ball moving. I think he's become a really important figure in this Stephen Kenny side.
What from this game, what can they take? Because some of the games that we've played recently, we've kind of won relatively comfortably over and I'm talking the immediate short term before this, but it was never against a team as good as this. And I know that Belgium didn't have their very top tier players, so we're not getting too carried away here. But it was a good side that Belgium played. They still have really good strength in depth. So what are they going to take away from those games where we aren't going to have a lot of possession? What did you see in terms of being adaptable against superior opposition?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. It's a great game to try and show the progress that's been made under Stephen, because I think in the first 12 months we know it didn't go to plan, but there's a lot of experimentation, a lot of debuts, and a lot of changes and a lot of problems that Stephen Kenny encountered in that first 12 months. Since then, it's become more settled. And I think if you look at the game against Luxembourg last time, then this one against Belgium, if he could, he probably would have selected the same team. Even though there was such a big gap between the two matches, if Gavin Pizzuno had been fit, then he probably would have played. And if Adam Eder had been fit, he might well have played up top, and it would have been exactly the same 11. So we're seeing a more settled environment, I think, now with this Ireland team. I think I learned that Callum Robinson's probably not a number 9. I know he can play in that position. I know he can play up front. He's very versatile. And I think there was a lot of rotation actually about that front three of Bene, Jason Knight and Callum Robinson. But I think he's slightly better when he's maybe slightly wider or slightly withdrawn, coming to get the ball slightly deeper. But I just think we're seeing now the fruits of a lot of hard work over the last couple of years. And we're seeing a more settled team from the experimental side that we saw, say, 12 months ago.
They just seem happy players as well, don't they? I mean, it must be important, Matt, that you go into you go on your international break, and even if you're brown, you're coming off the bench, you want to make an impact, even if you're not playing. They seem, I don't know, their body language for me is just chalk and cheese compared to the Ireland of maybe 5 years ago.
Well, even a couple of years ago, and you're losing some games that you feel as though you shouldn't lose. Home to Luxembourg, you're coming off the pitch.
Even a year ago, yeah.
Exactly, and the devastation of those moments, and you know that the stick that you're going to get from the likes of us and in the media and reading the ratings in the paper and all that sort of stuff, and the slaughtering that you're going to get for a poor performance. All of a sudden, there's a lot more confidence about going into games and that you're going to win matches. Obviously, scoring goals helps as well, which has been better. Obviously, that was a problem, and still not perfect, but certainly look like we're creating more. And scoring more, so there is a lot more confidence about the group now, going into matches, that they can create chances and they can get good results.
Talk to us a little bit about the deficiencies from the game. The 2 goals that were conceded and some of the other chances that were given up. That's the type of thing that will annoy a manager, but at the same time, it is a friendly. That's kind of the point of this: is you get those little quirks out and you make sure that they don't happen in the competitive games. From the set piece, is it just you sit there for a couple of hours in the video room until everybody's so bored where they're never going to do that again?
There'd be an element of that, definitely. I mean, if you're a manager watching that one back, you'd be scratching your head as to how he got a free header, but also there was a man next to him who was free as well. So it wasn't just one man who was free; there was 2 that were free. So you will be scratching your head as to how that happened, and that is one that they will run over and over again and try and sort out. The first one, I think you can forgive a little bit. Look, the team wants to try and play out from the back. That's the way it is. That's the nature of this side now. Yes, you can mix it, and yes, you can go long at times. And actually, there was occasions when I felt that we didn't go long enough at times, because Chidozie Ogbene made in the first 20 minutes he made 3 or 4 runs in behind the Belgian defence, and I'm thinking, just play him in. Let's just turn them, because they were trying to play quite high up and we're having a lot of the ball, and we didn't take that opportunity, and we continue to try and play a little bit too short at times. But it's the nature of the side and the style of football that Stephen Kenny wants to play, that he wants to try and play through midfield. So I can sort of, I think you can forgive that first goal and the way he took it as well. I mean, Seamus will come under a bit of criticism for showing him inside and opening the goal up, but I mean, the way he took it so quickly, I think it was such a difficult one to defend against, and I give Kelleher absolutely no chance to save it. The second one is definitely one that you're going to look back and think, we can do a bit better with that one.
Yeah, and I think in terms of depth as well, it is quite interesting. If you look at Omoba Medele, Darragh O'Shea, Gavin Bazunu, Adam Ida, and then you've like Obafemi, who may come into the mix, and Conley, who've been reasonably, especially Obafemi playing well at championship level. Young players coming through. I don't know. There are reasons to be positive, I think, anyway, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, look, we're going to see changes, aren't we, tomorrow? There's going to be some rotation. The nature of some of the players that are involved in Premier League struggles. Seamus Coleman, will he play? I mean, will he be rested? There's going to be rotation and changes. So we're going to see players come into it. I mean, look, Nathan Collins at the back is only 20. Ryan Manning, Darragh O'Shea, Jason Malumbi comes back into it. So he's got another opportunity possibly from the start. I expect Will Keane will probably get the nod from the start again. He's got 20 goals this season for Wigan. So you're right. And then there's the players that are not here who are unavailable as well. So we are starting to see a deeper squad, if you like, as well, and a bit more competition for places, albeit, it has been a fairly settled team the last few matches.
We're very excited about Jason Knight and the progression in his career and the amount of game time that he's had at this stage, for somebody so young. There's a good chance, if Derby go down as we expect at this point, that he gets picked off and released. And what is his level, and what's his best position in your view, Matt?
Great question. I mean, what is his level? Who knows? Because a lot can change. There's players who come onto the scene very early and fade away very quickly. There's others who come late and develop their game at a much slower rate, but they have a very good career. With Jason, I'm really not sure what his level is. I'm confident that he could play at the top level, and he's a player that really excites me. I love his energy. I love his running ability. I love his touch and his awareness. And
it's awareness and kind of game intelligence with him, isn't it?
Yeah, positions to pick up, positions to run into, to stretch the pitch at times. When to go long, when to come short. He's got a good football brain, and he's someone that has massively impressed me. I mean, look, I honestly think you could play him a little bit deeper. I think he could come from deep. But he's a player that I've got a lot of confidence that he will have a long, successful career and will play at the very, very highest level. He's a player that does excite me.
We had a long debate about what the best formation for this Ireland team was as Kenny got the job and he developed and evolved, and then it's clear at the moment that the three at the back is the direction he's going for now. But there is a world in which we suddenly have a bunch of young, very energetic midfielders like Knight, like Malumbi, like Josh Cullen, and maybe a three in that central area is the direction we should go for the World Cup qualifying campaign, or by the end of the Euros we could be getting there. So, you know, it's kind of unwritten for where Knight will be if he's kind of, you know, somebody who is hard running and running past the forwards.
Yeah, he could play easily. I mean, look, you could play two split strikers and one in behind as a number 10. Which Jason Knight could play in. I think he could play a little bit deeper if need be. You're absolutely right that the three suits us. I said that as soon as Stephen Kenny got the job, because when you're looking at the personnel in the squad, you know, the players at the back all played in the back three at club level. John Egan, Shane Duffy. To get Coleman and Matt Doherty in the same team, it probably had to be a back three. So I always felt that back three was the way to go. And now you're right. I mean, look, against the very best teams, it might be that we have to adapt that a little bit, just that front line, maybe drop one in as a number 10, because, you know, a lot of teams play three in the middle of the pitch, and you've got to be careful of that at times. So it might be that we adapt it and have two quick players up top who split. And I mean, look, it'd be interesting to see what happens against the very best sides, but it's options. You know, I think the back three absolutely is cast in stone, and then you know, you're going to have your two holding midfield players. Is it going to be one in front? Is it going to be two ahead and one up front? I mean, that's what Stephen Kenny's asked to decide game to game. But I think that's the only area where we'll see any change in terms of the formation. Do
you think tomorrow night, Matt, we'll see maybe more evidence of the kind of the Eustace, addition to the kind of tactical side of things in possession and so forth, where because obviously, like, there's a lot of chat about Anthony Barry and the role he played. Eustace is very well regarded. This is a game where we'll have probably 70%, 67% possession, something like that. Will his impression kind of become evident, do you think?
Maybe. I mean, look, he hasn't had a lot of time, has he? Let's be honest. He's not had a great deal of time on the training ground with the players, particularly. I know he's a well-regarded coach, and it will be interesting to see what the way we go about things tomorrow, and if there is any influence from John Eustace. But I think it's still very early in his time, and it's a case of him trying to get to know the group, get to know the players, getting to know how things are done. So I think it's still very early, really, to see what he's going to bring to the party. But certainly he's a well-regarded coach, and I'm looking forward to seeing his influence in the coming months. It
is quite stark, though, isn't it, that the difference in the kind of almost like slave to the narrative philosophy of the early Kenny days of passing out from the back, and we saw what happened in Faro, and to a lesser extent even against Serbia, where there is this more pragmatic kind of don't be afraid, we've pace on the break here, mix it up a bit.
Absolutely. I think, as I said, I think even in the early stages of the Belgium game, we didn't do it enough. I think because Benny made 3 or 4, as I say, really good runs, and no one saw him or didn't play it. And so, absolutely, I think it's right to mix it up. You can't be a team that just plays in front of teams. You've got to be able to get in behind them. And when we've got the pace that we've got at the top end of the pitch, then we have to utilise that. We can't be a side that just says, yeah, we'll keep the ball. At the end of it, there has to be some sort of penetration, and I think that's what we're seeing now. But as I say, in the first 20 minutes of the game on Saturday, I still felt that we didn't do it enough.
What should the ambition be? We've seen the importance of the Nations League and progress through the Nations League. The teams who are using it as a method to actually find your best team, find your identity, find your style of play, get big crowds in for the home games. They're the ones who are progressing, as we're seeing through the qualifiers and the playoffs at the moment. So it is actually important. Kenny made a rod for his own back by saying he thinks we can get out of our group and we can progress and get up to the top tier. But in another way, while it's very un-Irish to be that ambitious publicly, maybe it's exactly the right thing to do.
Absolutely. crikey. I mean, you've got to set yourself targets. You've got to be ambitious. There's no point playing the game if you're just taking part. You have to ultimately get results. I mean, even at the start, everyone was hoping that Stephen Kenny would turn things around, but the results weren't coming, and there was going to be a stage where everyone was that pressure was going to come on top of Stephen. But as it is, he has been able to turn that around, and I think he has to be ambitious. He has to set himself those targets, and so the immediate aim is do well in the Nations League, but the ultimate aim is to qualify for Euro 2024.
Like obviously, man, we want to qualify, but I didn't see any reason for the criticism or like the suggestion that he shouldn't have said that we can top this Nations League group, because for me this is eminently achievable with this Ireland team.
Definitely, I agree. I mean, I think we are more than capable of doing that. No problem at all. So he has to be ambitious. I mean, I don't get it either. I mean, I didn't even know there was criticism of him for saying that, because I think it's exactly the right thing to say. You're a group of 4 teams, and we're a team that in good form, playing some good football, confident team. Why can't we win the week? We're in the group.
I do think like the days of when Matty was playing in that era, and it's 20 years ago now, but I do think this is the best team, or the best vibe we've had about an Ireland team. I think since that time, Matty, where in fairness in your era, like we had proper world class players in attacking positions that we probably still don't have. But I don't know. Do you feel that we might be hopefully come back to that level?
I hope so. I mean, it'd be nice to qualify for the major tournaments, and nice to qualify for a World Cup. I think that'd be the ultimate aim. It's, as you say, 20 years since we did that. So there's been a lot of World Cups since we last qualified. So I think that's probably the ultimate goal being qualifying for Euro 2024. Yeah, we'd love to, but I think the World Cup in 2026 would be the dream, really. So yeah, I get a nice vibe about it. I think I'm excited about where we're going and how we're playing, and hopefully that those ambitions can be realised. So you're right. I mean, we don't have a Robbie Keane, someone who's going to score you 60-odd goals at international level, which is just a ridiculous number. We haven't got that at the moment. A Damien Duff who can do something out of nothing. But we have got some good players. We've got a good vibe. We've got a good team look about us at the moment, and they are the ambitions that we've got to try and rise to.
Would you make many changes for the game against Lithuania, or would you try and keep as many as you can without annoying your club managers?
Difficult balancing act, isn't it? Because ultimately you want to keep the run going. You want to make sure that you win the game, and that's the most important thing. Keep that run going, keep that momentum. But at the same time, you also know that there's a lot of club managers who'll be knocking on your door saying, "Can we just be a little bit careful with such and such? Can we be a bit careful with him because we need him for the run-in, and we've got important games coming up." And you've also got a number of players who've travelled, who are desperate to get some minutes and get onto the pitch. So yeah, absolutely, there'll be a few changes. How many, I'm not entirely sure, but there will be some rotation.
I think
sure.
that's one of the real positives during now, is that, like, I'm sure in Matty's time and in every time there have been camps across like various countries where international players are indifferent, almost hoping they're injured for stuff like this. I think the Ireland players are absolutely buzzing to be involved with Ireland at the moment, regardless of what's going on at their club, and I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, definitely. Players want to turn up, don't they, and play, and they'll be knocking on Stephen's door saying, "Please give me some minutes."
I think the full stadium makes a difference as well, Matt.
Oh, it's great. It was great. Yeah, the atmosphere was brilliant, wasn't it? It was great when Thierry Henry made an appearance on the big screen, and that actually probably turned the game a little bit, didn't it? I think Nathan
called it here on Saturday. He said if things are going bad, put them on the big screen and everything changes, and it actually did happen.
Yeah, I had dinner with a director actually who did that, and he was talking about it and saying and said that he was about to bring it down, then the ball went out of place. He could leave the picture of Thierry on the screen a little bit longer, and so he did, and it got the reaction, didn't it, that it needed.
I would go as far as to say that changed the course, that director of Irish football. If we'd lost that game, who knows what might have happened. Thank you, Mr. Director. Thank you for revealing that story, Matty.
No, brilliant, isn't it?
Matt Holland, good stuff. Thanks a million. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. See you. Bye-bye.
That's excellent
I
insight there.
did not expect that.
Into the moment of the game, you know.
Who cares about Will Smith? OTB AM for your exclusive director kind of conversations.
Right.
It did. Like I had to work for Off the Ball. I couldn't make the game despite representations. I have too much respect for John Duggan. I said, I'm not going to abandon you like Dan McDonald does to go to Lansdowne Road. So I had to watch the game on TV. But the crowd did seem a little bit sort of in party mode for the first sort of 20-25 minutes, and when it just changed, it really seemed to change when Thierry Henry appeared on the TV screen. We should do this every game now, just put up Thierry Henry in the big screen.
No matter what. So we're playing
Will
English
Smith.
like Thierry Henry. Yeah. All right, very good. It's 8:37 this morning here on OTB AM. If you've got a view on the Republic of Ireland's performance at the weekend, we'd love to hear from you. You can get it at Off the Ball AM on Twitter, or of course 0879 180 180 is the WhatsApp number.